Dear viewer, should you drink coffee? Now, my answer is no, and let me tell you why. So, the first problem is, of course, caffeine, which is a molecule that blocks the tiredness molecule in your brain. Among other things, it also makes your adrenals secrete more adrenaline, and it generally gives you a surge of stress hormones like cortisol and other stuff, and of course, that's going to give you energy. Now, if you don't see the problem with this, then let me illuminate the biological situation. Well, you see, when you have a molecule in your brain, usually it performs a multitude of functions, or it's best to assume that. When you take something that blocks a molecule in your brain that has a multitude of functions and you get more energy, well, in this case, you're scorching your nervous system. That is what's happening. And that is why studies have found that people who consume a bunch of caffeine have anxiety and depressive symptoms, or at least they're linked. And personally, you personally have probably seen that people in your life that, consume a bunch of caffeine, if you have one or you are one, they're pretty shaky. I mean, there's one girl that I used to go with in school that literally had shaking hands because she drank so much coffee because she had energy problems. So, if you've noticed that, then good, you might understand this better, but that's kind of showcasing what blocking adenosine does to you. Oh well, so that's the first thing. And then another thing is you're messing with your circadian rhythm. See, the cortisol, or I mentioned cortisol, and cortisol is kind of antagonistic to melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that makes you fall asleep, basically. Cortisol is the opposite of that. It peaks at around, in the middle of the day, and it kind of tells your body that, okay, the sun is out, you're supposed to move. Now, everything pertaining to sleep is very delicate. If you shoot a bunch of cortisol through caffeine into your bloodstream, then your body's clock will kind of change. So even if you're drinking coffee in the morning or in the middle of the day, you're gonna change this clock. So it doesn't matter, really. It's just worse if you're drinking it at night because then you won't be able to sleep. But all in all, it will mess up your sleep. Funnily enough. Another thing is that generally, to know if a food is good or bad, you can look at the processing. Now, let's talk about the 3 best foods out there, or the staples of your diet, or they should be the staple of your diet. Raw meat, raw milk, and raw eggs. Now, raw milk comes out of the cow, and then you drink it. An egg comes out of the chicken, you crack the shell, and then you drink it. Raw meat, just the tissue of the animal. You don't do anything with it. It's just literally comes from nature, like all of these 3 foods. And they're really healthy, and they help your cells because they themselves are cells. An egg is a cell, is one cell. That's pretty cool, right? Milk is... I'm not sure, I don't think it's cells, but still it's used. It's very good for cell division, I can tell you that. And raw meat is literally animal cells, so your body doesn't have to do a lot with it. Now, what's coffee? You have a fruit, and then you have small beans in it, I'm pretty sure. You roast them, and then you grind them, and you pour hot water over it, which does a bunch of bad things, of course. And in the end, you have chemically speaking, a solution where H2O is the solvent and you have a bunch of molecules that make it black, some of them, and you have caffeine. And then you drink this. Now, is this going to help your health? Your cells, generally? No, it's not going to do anything except block the adenosine molecule in your brain. And you'll scorch your nervous system, as we said earlier. Another thing with cooked food like coffee is that it contains acrylamides. So toast, any cooked meat, anything, even pasteurized milk will contain acrylamides, which is a molecule or a group of molecules, I guess, that resemble plastic and store in your body. And they're linked to infertility and miscarriages, so don't drink coffee if you're planning on getting pregnant. Lastly, what's the alternative, Mr. Excellent Health? You've said that, the people's favorite beverage is bad. Now, what should we drink instead? I would recommend raw milk and celery juice. Not together, but if you have access to raw milk, drink that. It's amazing. It gives your body nutrients. If you ferment it, you're getting bacteria, and that's always good. If you don't have access to that, or you just generally feel very irritable all the time, if you've drank a lot of coffee, then celery juice is going to help you. Celery juice will help anyone, actually, but celery juice, you know the benefits of vegetables. Celery juice is a way of getting them without cooking the vegetable and avoiding the cellulose, so you can actually get the stuff. So it contains a bunch of good minerals and vitamins that are very, very easily absorbed. And with that said, over and out for now.